Welcome to the second day of the Rally Turkey. The headline act on day one was supposed to be Colin McRae, who was returning to the WRC as a replacement for Sebastian Loeb, who was at home nursing the arm he broke in a mountain biking accident. But while McRae might be a WRC legend, he was upstaged on the opening day by the weather. Heavy rain had turned the stages to deep mud. This led to 3 of the first 4 being cancelled amid fears that the medical vehicles would not be able to get into the stages in the event of an accident. And the stages that did run were testing the WRC's finest to the max.
The conditions are absolutely atrocious.
But McRae was able to get on top of the conditions and remained in contention throughout the day. The only blemish on his performance, a wrong tyre choice for the last set of stages, which saw him drop to 6th. In the absence of Sebastian Loeb, Marcus Gronholm was expected to dominate here, and this seemed to be the case as he won the first 3 contested stages to open up a lead of 37 seconds. But Colin McRae wasn't the only comeback story, as Petter Solberg enjoyed his best day for some time. He held 2nd place from the first stage, and as the stages began to dry in the afternoon, he really started to find his rhythm, winning the final 3 stages to close in on Gronholm.
It's very good, actually. It's good fun to see Magnus again on his pits.
It's still early days, but after a litany of technical problems this season, could this be the turning point for Solberg and Subaru? So Solberg will start the day 26.1 seconds behind Gronholm, which could soon be reduced if Solberg hits the levels of performance he did yesterday afternoon. Mikko Hirvonen is in 3rd, but he is just 0.7 of a second ahead of Henning Solberg. Kosti Katiamäki had an impressive day to come home in 5th. In a rally of comebacks, Fiat are a notable presence in the service park this weekend. Turkey is the first outing in the WRC for the Super 2000 car which they've been developing. Fiat were one of the giants of the WRC back in the 70s and 80s. The rally takes place in the Antalya region in southern Turkey. 7 stages in the Taurus Mountains to the southwest of the city of Antalya make up this second day. And the weather conditions looking much better today. That will bring the crowds out onto the stages. This is Chris Atkinson at the start of Kemme. Although the sun will help to dry out the stages, as you can see, the early section of this opening stage is still pretty muddy. Atkinson starts the day less than a second behind on Colin McRae. And here is McRae. There was no easy reintroduction for the Scotsman yesterday. He described the conditions as some of the worst he's seen, and this is from a man with 25 WRC wins.
Into 6 right and 4 right minus, half cut.
McRae is faster than Chris Atkinson and remains in 6th.
50, jump 30, left tightens to 3+.
Kosti Katiamäki gets ready to start the stage. He's having to give it maximum revs to make sure he gets away in that thick mud. This is only his 5th drive of the season in the WRC, but he's making the most of his opportunity with the Stobart 14. He starts the day in 5th. His best performance of the season so far, 6th in Sweden.
Eri, pidä ja oikea hidä sahda 7. Vasen eri, pidä oikea hidä sahda 7.
Henning Solberg is the leading Peugeot in Turkey. And remember, he's less than a second behind Mikko Hirvonen. He's never finished on the podium in the WRC. Could this be his weekend?
Hold høyre over krønt i trang 4 venstre, 80. Line til 2 venstre pluss som nyper. I 2 høyre pluss.
Mikko Hirvonen knows all about hanging on to third position. That is where he's finished in the last 3 events. Hirvonen is still in third position at the end of the event. That should be enough to move him into third in the overall drivers' standings.
Oikein täys miinus ylinypyn keskeltä. 210. Huomio, huomio. Haippasen nopea ylinypyn, liukas jarru 3. Oikein serpotiukka aukee kivi sisällä. 100.
Hele kampen nu skal vi stå på for Norge.
The Petter Solberg fan club have plenty to get excited about as their man begins the day in second place.
30.
That was where he finished in Turkey last year, coming out on top in a battle with Gronholm. Could we yet see a repeat of that this year? But this time they would be disputing first place. And here is the rally leader. With Lobaut injured and question marks over when he returns, Gronholm now has the extra incentive of being back in contention in the Drivers' Championship. But he needs to finish at least third this weekend, so he needs to avoid mistakes. Henning Solberg has already completed the stage, and this is Mikko Hirvonen nearing the end. He's just 0.7 of a second in front of the Norwegian, remember. Let's use Virtual Spectator to see how they're comparing. Hirvonen's comfortably in front. He will extend his advantage over Henning Solberg. And this is Petter Solberg approaching that fast finishing stretch. Hirvonen's time is the fastest so far.
18.
There's the clock at the bottom of the screen.
Right plus, tighten short. 300. Okay, well done.
And Solberg has beaten Hirvonen with something to spare.
Well done, no. Well done.
To keep these times I'm doing now, I'm just very, very happy, you know, and it's nothing else I can say. I just have to build up the confidence properly, get the car to be even further, but you have to remember, still a long way to do go with the car before it's perfect, but the small improvement I have done have made a hell of a difference anyway, so I'm very pleased with that, and let Marcus win, no problem. If I get second, I'm very, very pleased.
So can Solberg eat into Gronholm's lead?
Oikein nopea, älä.
The finishing line is coming up, but he's going to be slower. 2.2 seconds slower.
Marcus, the time's on the board. It's 2.2 slower than Petter.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't go faster for the moment. He is really going very well now.
At the end of the day, you have everything to lose and really nothing to gain with the position you're in. You have to stay on the road. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah. I don't know where he have found the speed now, suddenly. When Lööf is not here, Solberg is pushing me. Funny.
So Gronholm is feeling the pressure a little as Solberg reduces his lead to 23.9 seconds. Further down, Chevy Pons moves ahead of Chris Atkinson into 7th. Can Petter Solberg make up any more ground on rally leader Marcus Gronholm? Find out after the break. This is day 2 of the Rally of Turkey. Stage 11 is next. And And this is Colin McRae. As well as reacquainting himself with the Zara, McRae and co-driver Nicky Grist will have to get used to how the Cronus team works.
And 6 left.
Not for the first time though, he's gone the wrong way with his tyre choice and has selected a compound too soft for the drying roads. And that decision may have cost him another place, as Chevy Pons goes ahead of him into 6th. The Spaniard is now the leading Citroën. Henning Solberg is looking to get back on terms with Mikko Hirvonen in 3rd place.
9-6 høyre, hold innover krøn i 5 venstre, 20. 3 høyre, halvlang. 40, 2 venstre.
But that was a heavy impact under the car.
Til flat, 6 høyre.
Everything looks okay, but he has reported suspension damage. This must be frustrating for Solberg. He's had such a strong run up to now. He's not a happy man at the end of the stage.
Ending clear stage, really big puncher now.
Mikko Hirvonen takes full advantage of Solberg's problems. Ford's number 2 is fastest through stage 11 so far and is now over 15 seconds ahead of the Norwegian. Ahead of Hirvonen, Petter Solberg continues his pursuit of the rally leader. There are some concerns though. His Subaru has been losing traction in the latter part of the stages. And after being up on the early splits, his overall time in this stage is nearly 5 seconds slower than Hirvonen. But how will he compare to Gronholm?
Half long, 46 right, half long, 6 right plus.
And the early splits have looked promising for the Ford driver here. Just meters to go before the finish line of this 27-kilometre stage, and he's definitely going to be quicker. Yes, 13.5 seconds faster than Solberg. Gronholm's advantage is back up to 37.4 seconds. Henning Solberg retains 4th despite that suspension problem. In fact, he increased the gap to Kosti Katiamäki in 5th, and confirmation that Chevy Pons is now 6th. The crews are now back at service.
Petter, still a long way to go, but dare we say it's going very well?
It's actually going very well, except for now when we had a problem like that again. It came in, but it came in very bad. So we lost a lot of traction and grip, and then that's how it is.
What have you done to the car setup? Because you are really showing a lot more performance on this rally.
It's nothing with the setup to do. It's just the engineers who's doing details so we can get the car, you know, just to get the grip. That's it, nothing else.
You seem to be very positive now. That's good for you.
When you see confidence between people and engineers, it's very easy for me to also, you know, feel positive that the future looks very good.
Flash gun in that as well. So at least I've got that. You know.
Next, it's a second run through the Kemmer stage, and the organisers have called in a heavy digger to try and clear some of that heavy mud at the start. And here's Colin McRae at the start, and the surface does look a lot better now. Has McRae got the tyre choice right this time? He's still on a soft compound tyre, but with a harder construction. This stage does look like it has dried out, but there is still some mud and standing water about. The early signs are not good regarding McRae's tyre choice, as his Citroën teammate Chevy Pons, who is on a softer construction, beats him by over 6 seconds. Pons had hoped to achieve more in the Zara this season, but after some disappointing results, he seems to be turning things around. Kosti Katimäki gets into the stage, but he's developed a problem with his handbrake. He will need that to help him through some of the muddy hairpins in this stage. And he's stalled at this one. And this contributes to Chevy Pons going ahead of him on this stage. Katimäki drops to 6th. And Henning Solberg is having more trouble. He's complaining that his Peugeot's brakes are sticking. But it doesn't stop him consolidating his 4th place. Mikko Hirvonen started the day less than a second in front of Henning Solberg, but he has beaten him on all the stages so far. He's in typically crowd-pleasing form through the spectator area. And he is faster than Henning Solberg again, but how is he comparing to Petter on the early splits?
Mikko at a split, I've got you 4.2 slower than Petter, and that's the man you want to be catching, not losing to.
Yeah, he's really pushing hard and driving well, so it's going to be difficult to cut, but I'll try. I'll keep the same speed now and we'll see.
And Petter Solberg has maintained his pace through the last part of this stage.
Line into 5 right half long, tight and short, 4, tight and slippy maybe.
But those traction problems are still not helping.
150, 100. Okay.
Losing so much in the corner, side corner trail.
Yeah, I can see.
I'm struggling in the slow corners when it's drying up because I get a little bit too much rear grip and the front goes away, but it's better than this morning. But still, I need more, you know, need more front grip.
Everything seems just about perfect for Marcus Gronholm and his Ford Focus. He's fastest on this stage and his lead increases to 40 seconds. You saw earlier how diggers had been used to clear away the heavy mud at the start of this stage. Virtual Spectator shows us how much of a difference this has made. Marcus Gronholm, although his reaction is slightly slower, is clearly much quicker at the start compared to the first run through the stage. Gronholm increases his lead in stage 13, but the headline here was that Chris Atkinson went ahead of both Colin McRae and Kosti Katimäki into 6th. So Colin McRae is now 8th and Katimäki 7th, with Chevy Pons up to 5th. At the top end, all remains much the same. Gronholm's lead over Solberg as they head back to service is now 43.4 seconds.
Marcus, how's the rally going at this point for you?
It's fine up till now, and hopefully it will be okay. It's raining now heavily on the stages, so it will be a little bit difficult, I guess.
Mark, this is a team that normally gets tyre choices perfect most rallies. Here in Turkey, it's not going quite to plan. Why not?
I think because it's a human. It's a sport, you know. Sometimes you can win, sometimes you have to lose. It's a quite difficult choice to make this weekend. It's not. It's very small difference between one cut and another cut of one type of compound and another one. And okay, we make the wrong sometimes, but it can happen.
And their decisions will get no easier, as it looks like rain could return for the final stages. They are coming up after the break. Before we see the final day stages, here's what's been happening away from the leaderboard. Francois Duval is still the leading Skoda driver. His car entered by First Motorsport is in 9th with 3 stages to go. Manfred Stoll's Peugeot was inexplicably losing power yesterday, and the Austrian has not been happy with its performance today. He's currently 10th. Danny Sordo in 11th had been catching Stoll, but he was another let down by tyre choice and has fallen back. Andreas Eigner has been in a private battle with his Skoda teammate Harry Rovanperä today. Eigner is in 12th. And here is Rovanperä. He led this rally back in 2003 when he drove for Peugeot, but he's a long way off that this year. The weather has turned nasty for the final stages. The rain has returned and there is some hail about as well. Jan Kopecky has had some strong results this season, but he struggled this weekend.
Brynda, váže levá šest. Levá šest. Levá šest, typičo.
And it looks like he will not be going any further. Conditions are getting very bad out there, but Chris Atkinson makes it safely through, and he improves his position at the expense of Chevy Pons, whose intercom has failed. And Kosti Katiamäki also went ahead of Pons.
Oikea laita. Lyhyt vasen täys. 3 ja oikea nopea.
Here's Henning Solberg on stage 15.
Nyper trang, kort 2 over krøn. Med Stein ytter. 1 venstre, halvlang. The early 6 høyre.
He slides off the line there and it sounded like there was a rock there. But it looks like he's got away with it. Mikko Hirvonen has been losing time on these tricky stages, allowing Henning Solberg to close in a little, but his 3rd place looks safe for the moment. Petter Solberg set the fastest time on stage 14 at nearly 10 seconds faster than Gronholm. He could make some serious inroads into the lead before the end of the day.
20. Keep left of a crest. Into 4 right tightens early. 6 left fast of a crest. 40. 6.
But he's off.
Help.
And it looks like he's stuck there.
Good driving that.
A dramatic end to the day. And here is the rally leader Marcus Gronholm in the final few hundred metres of stage 15. He will know that his main rival is out.
7. Oikea hidas.
These final stages have given Gronholm plenty of warning that there is still a long way to go.
Marcus, it's been another tough day. You've done what you meant to do. You've held the lead.
Yeah, but you know, this is a nightmare, this rally with these conditions. You cannot even stand there. I think you can fall down and then you have to go with a car on the stage. Oh, incredible. Incredible. Oh.
And as gloom descends, Petter Solberg is again having to deal with major disappointment.
It's a rock hidden in the ground, and we are driving with quite low car to get because of getting the car to work properly. And I think my brother hit it, and it went up a little bit further, and Mikko almost went off here, and then the front went up in the air, jumped out, and then sideways in here into the ditch. So.
Solberg's retirement means everybody below shuffles up a position, and with no changes on the super special that ended the day, this is how it looks. Gronholm's lead is now up over 2 minutes. Hirvonen inherits 2nd, which makes it a Ford 1-2. Henning Solberg is now 3rd and Chris Atkinson 4th. the latest on all of today's stories at WRC.com and make sure you join us for the final day's action tomorrow.